Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Rugby Ascendant segment. Well, we're just 3 months out now from the British and Irish Lions tour of South Africa. We've been wondering for ages what's going to happen in the pandemic, the age of the pandemic, with the British and Irish Lions tour, a huge, huge rugby event whenever it takes place. Looking forward to the British and Irish Lions rocking up in the shores of South Africa and taking on local rugby clubs and eventually the Springboks for a series of 3 tests this summer. Of course, it'll be wintertime in the Southern Hemisphere, but hey, those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, it'll be summertime starting in July for the tour in South Africa. But we didn't even know if the tour was going to take place this year. The much heralded and expected tour was on the rocks. But just last month, it was announced that they would go forward with the tour. This is after Australia. Interestingly enough, Australia offered to host the British and Irish Lions tour, but they couldn't guarantee audiences or purses, and so it also was an awkward fit, taking South Africans and Irish and Brits to Australia to play this tour. Odd. But it is an unusual world and a bit of a black swan event as we deal with the continuing pandemic constraints. But the British and Irish Lions tour now is just 90 days out, less than 90 days, and British and Irish Lions are looking forward to it. Fans are too, but we don't know what's going to happen. Right now, the games will take place in South Africa, but will there be spectators? We have no idea. South Africa's vaccination program is not progressing very well, and so we don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, fans will be there. If fans are there, I intend to be there covering the games in South Africa. Springboks director of rugby, Rassie Erasmus, the World Cup winning coach from 2019, and new head coach, one of his former specialty coaches, Jacques Nienaber, are preparing for the upcoming test series, as well as a potential match with the United States as well. We'll see if the Eagles actually do get to play the Springboks here. That would be epic, especially if it took place in South Africa. But we're waiting to see what happens there. So Rassie and Jacques are having a series of get-togethers, meeting with players, and kind of orientation camps. 3 days in Gauteng, followed by a trip to Durban to talk to Sharks players, then on to Cape Town for a similar thing with Stormers players down there. After that, there's player orientation camps for the rest of the Springboks players who play overseas over the next fortnight. Over the next 2 weeks, we expect to see Springbok players getting orientation camps in the UK, in Ireland, in France, and in Japan as the Springboks prep for the upcoming season. With less than 90 days to go now for the British and Irish Lions tour in South Africa, we're still wondering, will we get to go to matches, or we have to watch the games in front of empty stadiums on television? Now, the frightening thing for Springbok fans is not Sia Khaleesi's misguided comments last summer, but actually it's been a long time. The last time the Springboks took the pitch as a team and played test rugby was the Rugby World Cup final in Japan. That nearly 18 months ago at this stage. It's a long time ago, a long time between rugby. So getting test matches, this is going to be a challenge. Who will show up? What will the team look like? With a year and a half in between the Rugby World Cup and the next test match for the Springboks, that's a whole generation of new young players that we haven't had a chance to see who could be Springboks. Remember when Lood came up, Eben Etzebeth came up, all these other young players who surged out of nowhere and surprised us with their talent. Will we see that again? Cheslin Colby, same thing. He came out of nowhere. Will we see a new crop of young players? It's going to be tough to say. But we'll figure out what happens between Rassie and Jacques in their camps. Now, already, there are concerns about this series, and not just because the Springboks haven't played as a team, haven't practiced as a team, and haven't had a test match since the Rugby World Cup final, in which they defeated England 32-12, I think was the score. The other concern is we already have an issue at lock. At lock, we already have an issue. The normally a very solid and deep position of lock is now a little thin. The bomb squad is depleted. That's right. R.J. Snyman is still out after a gruesome knee injury when he made his debut for Munster last August. He's still out. It doesn't look likely he'll be back in time for this test series. He's yet to begin playing rugby. And the luckless but incredibly talented and all of his heart into the game, Lood, one of my favorite players, just broke his leg just a couple of days ago for the Sale Sharks in a training session. Wow. So with Lood down, with R.J. Snyman down, that leaves the Springboks relying entirely at the moment on Eben Etzebeth and Franco Mostart, who are both perfectly capable, but will it be enough? Will there be young Springbok locks who step up? Or do we turn and ask Victor Matfield to come out of retirement again? You never know. The ageless Victor Matfield might just come back. We shall see. But that's how things look right now, folks. Just 3 months from the British and Irish Lions Test Series in South Africa. Something I'm looking very much forward to. Let's hope it goes off without a hitch. And I'm hoping for 3 Springbok victories. That seems a bit ambitious given the fact they haven't been on a pitch for nearly 18 months. And the British and Irish players have been getting lots of playing time in Premiership rugby and pro rugby up there in Ireland and in England. So they have a big advantage. Now, some Springboks players have been playing in those games as well as those playing in Japan. But we haven't seen anything like the Six Nations. There's been no competition like that where South Africa has had its Springbok side together. And the English and the Irish did play together as teams, and the Welsh as well, and Scotland. So all of those players have a chance to gel much quicker than we will see the Springboks. So here's hoping for the best. British and Irish Lions series coming up in 2021, hoping that it will be a good season for the Springboks. It'll go off well and that they get the depth that they need, as well as a chance for us fans to go to these venues and watch the games. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. This is Rugby Ascendant, and I'm Chris. Appreciate your support for rugby, the best game on the planet. Let's keep spreading the word about the sport. I've never introduced a single person to the game that hasn't walked away and say, this game is awesome. I want to be part of it. Every person I've introduced to the game ever has said the same thing. So let's keep spreading the word. Thanks a lot, folks.